All right, schedules come out. This is our Jaguars Today official predictions as of May, whatever
this is official.
Today's day. Oh, it's absolutely official.
I have to stick with whatever I do today.
Well, I mean, this is what we're doing, right? And Isn't that what we did last year?
It is.
Okay.
It is. I can live with it.
Let's see how much you're pandering to the Jaguar fan base
I can live
today.
with it.
All right.
We'll see. The first time I went through, I will tell you, when the schedule came out and I was just just going through it, I was at 14. And then I've had a day to think about it. We'll see where I am today.
Okay, we will. I will absolutely. I think the schedule sets up great for the Jags the way it falls. So shall we begin?
Let's do it.
Home opener. People will be handing us W's and L's from off the screen. Hopefully not too many L's. I need some W's if we can get started here. Smacking this team down. I mean, come on, there's no question about that. Gardner Minshew is probably the starting quarterback. I don't care who it is, quite frankly. We're beating the Colts.
One of the things I was curious about with the schedule is where the Colts were going to be on the schedule. Because I do think they're going to be a more dangerous team in the second half of the season, potentially, with Anthony Richardson at quarterback. But they're not playing him in the second half of the season. W.
Yeah, no, if Anthony Richardson is going to be that dangerous in his rookie season regardless. I need one of those other ones, actually. I'm being realistic. I'm the realistic one of the two. Not that they can't beat the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs, Super Bowl champs, early in the season, healthy, come in, Jags are 1-1.
I think it's easy to look at the schedule and say that's probably the most likely loss on the schedule is the Kansas City Chiefs. It's May. I just have a feeling Jags home opener, the wildness of that crowd coming off the kind of season they had last year, W for the Jags.
Oh, you've got a feeling, all right. I already know what your record prediction is going to be. The Texans, come on. Can we just go ahead and skip to the Texans and the Colts throughout this process?
Right, yeah.
I got 4 W's coming along there. CJ Stroud, I don't really care. Whatever. I mean, we're going to dominate this team. It's about time, by the way. And this is not an organization that the Jags have typically dominated.
No.
No matter how much better than they.
I mean, we were on the air last
year.
year. You were saying I'm not going to pick them to beat the Texans again until they beat the Texans. Well, they beat them.
Yeah.
In
there
the
you go.
second half of
W.
the season. So now they're on a roll against the Texans. W against Houston and the Atlanta Falcons. I think they do have the advantage here with the short trip to at least the first game for London. So I'll give them the W over the Falcons.
Hey, get off my line here. Stick to your bottom row here.
Sorry.
W as well, though. I could have left it right there and fixed it for you, but I think they're going to beat the Falcons in London as well.
As we've talked about this week already, I think this is really tough for the Jags, staying a week in London to then play one of the better teams in their schedule on top of it. I think the Bills have a bunch of different advantages in this game. I think the only advantage to this game being in London after staying a week is that you don't have to go to Buffalo. I still don't think that's enough. I got a loss there.
How dare you think they're going to lose to the Bills? I do too, actually. Just trying to be a little realistic. Not that they can't beat Buffalo, certainly, but long trip, Buffalo, whatever. They're a good team. So they're not going undefeated. They got 2 L's. All right, so here we go. On to the Colts again.
Yeah, the Colts again. As I said, it's kind of the same thing for me here. I think it's still too early in the season for Richardson to have found his stride. I am a little curious to see what it looks like playing back-to-back games in London, just what a team having to do that looks like coming back home. But I think the Colts are the right kind of opponent to do that.
Oh, man. All right, that one's more official now. I'm with you right there. Everything Tony said plus an extra touchdown. All right, this is, I think, I don't know if it's a trap game, but I think it's a tough game. It's a tough place to play in prime time in New Orleans. It's a short week on the road. I'm saying this is one of the ones that you look at and you say the Jags may be a better team. That's the best team, I think, in the NFC South right there. As much as we like to think the Jags are just going to sweep every opponent they should, let's look at last year. How many times they lost to teams that they should have beaten. I think New Orleans will be respectable. I've got them winning on that short week at home.
I think this is the toughest month of the season on the schedule. With what does it look like with back-to-back games in London for a football team? Having to come back home without the bye week the next week, then the short week going to New Orleans, then on the road at Pittsburgh. I think this is the toughest stretch of the season for the Jags this year, but I do think they get the win on Thursday Night Football in New Orleans.
All right, our home away from home, Heinz Field, love you. Was there back in 2007, both times when they emptied the place out early, when the Jags swept them, and will continue the dominance in our northern locale.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, they've been great up there in the past. I don't think it's a good enough Pittsburgh team to change that this year. Jags go up and get a win against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right, so bye week. Yay! We get the bye week. This is the perfect place for the 49ers to fall on the Jaguars schedule.
No doubt.
Cross-country trip. Jags coming off the bye week. 10 o'clock kickoff, local body clock time for the 49ers. Brock Purdy? Am I scared of Brock Purdy? Trey Lance? Any of those clowns?
How are you?
W for the
I was
Jacksonville
curious,
Jaguars.
as I said, where the Colts were going to be on the schedule for the Jags this year. Some of these big games, where they would be, what they would be surrounded by, I was curious about as well. San Francisco at home, coming off the bye, is as good as it can get. Now, keep in mind, San Francisco also has their bye in Week 9.
Don't care.
So they will have that extra chance to prepare, but I'm with you. I think the Jags get the win at home against the 49ers.
All right, then let's just put this up quickly here. Titans coming in to TIAA Bank Field. I think we're going to see an atmosphere reminiscent of what we saw at the end of the season last year. It's still the most hated rival. The Jags will clearly be the better team. I think they win again, and so far remain undefeated in the AFC South.
Yeah, keep the brooms handy for the AFC South, at least to this point for both of us, continuing that trend there. And obviously, if we're going to keep the brooms out, tells you everything you need to know about how we feel about the
Texans. I told you the Texans Colts, that's an easy 4-0 right here. I think this is a great game. This is the one I thought they'd get on Monday night. Didn't know exactly when it would fall. I think the atmosphere is going to be bananas here in Jacksonville. I mean, it's Joe Burrow versus Trevor Lawrence, consecutive years, #1 picks and all that. I think the Bengals will be among the contenders in the AFC, but so will the Jacksonville Jaguars, especially after getting a Monday Night Football victory.
Yeah, I think the way that the tough opponents, the perceived to be tough opponents on the schedule, got spread out for the Jags. As you said, I think it's a really good schedule for the Jags. Ultimately, with the way that things played out at home, Monday Night Football, Duval, baby.
All right, Jags on the road. I think this is, again, trap game's a weird thing. Short week. Cleveland's going to be pretty good. People are, what are the Browns got? Well, look, if Deshaun Watson has knocked off the rust, last time we saw him play a full season, he led the league in passing. I think Cleveland's got a good defense. I think they've got a solid running game. You're on the road. You're coming off an emotional high. I think this is one of the games the Jags falter in.
This is one of the games that it was tough for me to decide which way to go with it for all the reasons you listed, but I got kind of a trend going here. I'm not going to stop it here.
Apparently not. All right, Sunday night, Baltimore. Look, the rematch with what we saw, the Dramatics last year. I think the Ravens will be a competitive team. I think they've already beaten, though, the class of the AFC North this year, and I think they will get another win against that division. And 3-1 against the AFC North, with Cleveland being the lone loss for me.
Look, we saw what kind of impact the fan base had on these primetime games last year in this stadium. I'm relying on that a bit with these Bengals and Ravens picks. But this is a Ravens team that they were able to beat last year with this kind of home momentum. I think they do it again this year in primetime.
Did you put the wrong one up here? I'm just noticing.
No. That's
you meant the L
I meant
there.
the L
Okay,
there with the Bills.
Just checking. Tony's got them at now. What are we at? 13-1.
13-1.
I think at Tampa Bay. Come on. Who is it by then? Kyle Trask?
Who knows?
Not worried about it.
Could still be Baker, I suppose, but yeah.
Could be. Not worried about that either, quite frankly. Carolina Panthers, interesting game at home. I'm interested to see the Panthers. It's funny, I saw some Panthers media tweeting about how this is a playoff type game, chance to play yourself into the playoffs. No, we're only here to clinch the playoffs by then. We've got the division wrapped up. The Panthers are not going to the playoffs, and this will be another loss in their column.
I think this is the week that the Jaguars clinch home field in the AFC with a win against the Carolina Panthers.
Clinched home field. I like that. Well, yeah, because you've got them at 15-1.
I do.
I think the Jags will not get home field throughout in the AFC because I think somebody will probably win 14 games this year. I've got them winning 12, and I think Week 17 may be, honestly, other than for pride, kind of meaningless. Trevor Lawrence on the bench, perhaps, for half the game. You lose, and you can laugh at the Titans because they're going home for the postseason, but I've got the Jags 12-5.
Yeah, I think the Jags likely, I think even at 12 wins, they're likely going to win the division by 3 games, right? I think that's the likely outcome in the AFC South this year. I got them with 15 wins at this point. I'm not picking them to lose against the Titans to close out the season. 16-1, and like 1999, I think the Jags host the opponent, the only opponent that beat them in the regular season, for the AFC Championship game here in Jacksonville, the second they will have hosted in franchise history, and avenge their lone regular season loss to get to the Super Bowl by beating the Bills.
Jags have won 12 games, what, two times? Two times. Tony's got him winning 16.
I do.
I'll take that bet. I got him 12-5. Jacksonville Jaguars, AFC South champs, going deep in the playoffs.